Hello, good evening. It's exactly 11 p.m. in Lagos and Abuja in Nigeria. In Johannesburg, South Africa, it's midnight. And here in Accra, Ghana, it's 10 p.m. Welcome to News at 10. I am Stephen NT. In the next 30 minutes, we'll bring you the very latest stories from across the country and beyond. But first, let's start with the day's major news highlights. The Wa East District Assembly is battling, enrolling and keeping pupils in school because the children attend funerals at night, sometimes for 3 continuous days. They're therefore unable to go to school or doze off during lessons. And residents of Asim Busumadri, a farming community in the Asim South District of the Central Region, have only 2 days in a month to access health care. This is because the only community-based health planning services is open to the public only 2 times in a month. And the building housing the Mfansimai Municipal Education Directorate in the Central Region is in a bad state. Worried staff are calling for government's intervention to avert any future disaster. And personnel at the Takoradi Port Health Unit are calling for a quick rehabilitation and re-equipping of the facility. For now, the dilapidated structure has been abandoned as both port authorities and the Ghana Health Service expect each other to take charge. Right, so those are our major news highlights. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook and on 3news.com. Up next is a big one. Welcome back. Now, the unrivaled beauty, colorful and yet captivating presence of savanna buffaloes and elephants at Ghana's largest animal refuge, the Mole National Park, bestows a rich diversity of the wildlife in ecotourism, with some 94 mammals and 300 bird species in the Mole Park alone. The Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission is poised to adopt new strategies to prevent extinction. Nana Kwekwedia has more.
Currently at the Mole National Park, Ghana's largest wildlife refuge, and we're going into the deep to find out exactly what we can see in terms of the animals here. The Mole National Park, located in the northern region, covers some 4,577 square kilometers and is the largest savanna land range animal refuge in the country. With some 94 mammal and 300 bird species, the park offers to a first-time visitor some exciting panoramic views. I understand about 600 of them are here in the park. Over the years, they've multiplied, just like other species around here. Do we still have all the animals here? And which of them varieties do we have? Which of the species do we have? And which of them are extinct?
It is a phenomenon, natural phenomenon, because whether we like it or not, animals will get extinct. But it's because of preventing that situation. That's why we have these parks. So yes, on the outside we have some of them getting extinct, but in the parks we still have a good population of animals.
With its history, flora and fauna, managers of the park say it remains one of the biggest revenue generators for the tourism sector.
Last year, 2017, we receive about 20,000 tourists. About 30 of these visitors are Ghanaians, which means that local tourism is growing. In the past, some 5-10 years ago, we used to receive about 70% non-Ghanaians and 30% Ghanaians. I think the statistics have changed. More Ghanaians are now visiting our protected areas, which is a good sign. And most of these are the youth, which means that awareness, we are catching them young. The issue of environmental protection will go down and has a future.
At the end of the division's 3-day annual scheduled officers meeting at the Mole National Park at Damongo in the northern region, leadership resolved to adopt effective ways of dealing with conservation challenges in consonance with modern practice. The Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission is optimistic with effective policies and support, it will deal with the issue of poaching and protect the country's animal species.
Wildlife is part of our heritage as a country. Every traditional area you go, they have some linkage with wildlife, and that is very important. The Wildlife Division is doing a very important job as far as maintaining the relationship between the people and wildlife is concerned. Secondly, wildlife is an indicator species. The presence or absence of wildlife in an area tells the quality of the environment in that area.
With enhanced working relations between the Forestry Commission and the Tourism Ministry, and with improved biodiversity, ecological and cultural conservation methods, the Mole Park will one day become a National Heritage Site recognized by the United Nations. Nana Kwekwedia, Mole National Park, Damongo.
Right, on the telephone lines now, we have the Executive Director of the Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission, Nana Edu Insia, to take a look at how the country is preserving its wildlife. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much. So, at the end of your 3-day meeting, what strategies have you resolved to adopt to ensure the preservation of Ghana's animal species? Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm asking what measures you have resolved to adopt in order to ensure the preservation of our animal species after your 3-day annual meeting.
Thank you. As a result of the 3-day meeting, the managers resolved to get more committed to their work. And like I'm saying, wildlife conservation requires that you get officers who are committed to their work so that they will be prepared to go against a lot of odds, because the job is in the habitat of the animals, and if you don't get people who will be prepared to stay in the field, then you'll be fighting a losing battle. So as a result of the meeting, managers agreed that they are going to intensify their patrols in the various parks. They are going to also motivate their staff so that they will be able to control the poaching menace, which is becoming a major problem, especially for the big games like the elephants, the buffaloes, which hunters are also trying to get as a result of ivory, which they will be selling to other people. And also, the division has also tried to put in new logistics. For example, the chief executive has assured us of new weapons to enable us combat this poaching. And then we are also trying to do public awareness, community participation in wildlife management, so that instead of people going to hunt, they'll have alternative livelihood, which will let them also understand that the conservation of wildlife is for the whole Ghanaian, it's not for few people. And then the outreach program also, we let people understand the importance of conservation, and then that will help us. And lastly, we're trying to also put a value on the wildlife by way of tourism to encourage external income for other people in those community areas.
Right, so talking about tourism, I want to have a better understanding of the kind of collaboration you have between your outfit and the tourism ministry to promote tourism at the various parks, not just at Mole.
Yeah, like you said rightly, the tourism becomes an added value subject for the wildlife division, because our first aim is to protect the ecological viability of the species in all the country. So we are partnering the tourism ministry to also promote this value, so that people will just understand that yes, wildlife can bring some income to the community and then the nation as a whole. And as a result of that, there are meetings, stakeholders meetings. We also, in terms of promotional materials, there are some trade fairs that people attend. That is, some of my officers have been attending together with the tourism ministry. But then we have to watch that tourism, even though it's going to add value, if we don't control it with guidelines, it could be a suicider to the very resource that is going to promote the tourism. For example, people may think, oh, why don't you start putting animals like lions in places where even lions have not existed before? And that could be a very dangerous precedent. So we need to agree that we are looking at conservation. Tourism is a value that is being added to it, but not necessarily tourism trying to override the protection, which will, in the end, will kill the tourism industry itself, as far as the wildlife conservation aspect is concerned.
Right. So if we look at Mole, the Mole National Park, are you able to tell us its contribution to the country's ecotourism in general?
Yes, that is one of the best areas in the country where you can even see elephants within 30 to 50 meters, that human beings can come closer to elephants. So in effect, a lot of expatriates, Ghanaians, coming also to the park, that is where they see elephants. People have read them in the books, people have just watched them in films, but in Mole you can see it as a rare value. And also, if you look, there are other species, a lot of them, which if not because of the conservation in Mole, you couldn't have got people visiting Ghana as a result of wildlife tourism. But I think that my park manager earlier on alluded to that you get a lot of, last year, for example, over 20,000 visitors were visited Mole alone. And out of that, we have a higher share of the domestic tourism. So it's a very good sign that Ghanaians, we are also visiting our parks. And that's why we need to promote it, so that it will be something which will be beneficial to the nation. And it has a spreading, that is, the income does not come to wildlife per se. Only a little portion comes to us, but a lot of them is spread to other sectors, the transport sector, the hotel industry, the communities. They will buy artifacts and other. And so it is a way that if we manage it well, we can use it for the rural development of our people.
Right. Mzansia, we're grateful for your time. Thank you extremely. Mzansia is with the Wildlife Conservation Unit. My name is Stephen Anti, and this is News at 10. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, the ongoing fight against street trading in Accra may fail unless the Accra Metropolitan Assembly changes its strategy. The traders are not only defying the orders, but also prepared to go at any length to ensure they remain on the streets. Peter Kwa witnessed a fight between a hawker and a city guard in front of Cocoa Board head office. And as far the following report.
It was bright mid-morning and the location was the Cocoa Board head office. This reporter had just alighted from a vehicle about to enter the Ajabin Magistrate Court premises when his attention was drawn to a commotion. A cursory look showed a member of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly Task Force and a street vendor in a fierce fight. Apparently, the trader had refused to leave the pavement when told to do so, hence the no street vendoring enforcers' attempt to seize her wares. The aggressive woman slapped the AMA task force member and continued to kick him. but the no street vending enforcer with no badge. This attracted passersby, most of whom were blaming the member of the task force for the brawl. Some of the street vendors came behind the reporter, urging him to focus on the task force members, suggesting he was wrong to insist on taking the woman's words. To confirm their claim, a number of AMA task force members were seen in free movement with the street vendors. This particular one got infuriated and attempted to snatch the video gadget from the reporter. The reporter continued to the striking force area where the vendors had taken over portions of the pavement. At the central MTTD area, where trading zones were deliberately marked, some traders now sell their wares beyond the markings. So we ask, can the ongoing fight to keep traders off the streets succeed with the same old formula?
And a 40-unit toilet facility at the St. Mary Senior High School in Korle Ghana, Accra, is being converted into a teacher's accommodation. The move, according to management of the school, is to bring teachers closer to students for improved academic work. Currently, only 10 out of a total of 44 teaching staff reside on the school campus.
The St. Mary Senior High School is one of the 2 girls' senior high schools in Accra with a student population of 1,069. 815 students are boarders. However, only 10 out of 51 teaching and 41 non-teaching staff reside on the school premises. Currently, only the headmistress and her 2 assistants, a senior house mistress, 5 house mistresses, and 2 non-teaching staff are accommodated on campus. The rest live far away from the school, making it extremely difficult for teachers to give up their best.
You can imagine every time we have 3 teachers who support supervision of prep. That's in the night. These teachers come here at 7 o'clock and they leave at 9 p.m. Much as they are willing to help, it will affect their output.
In a bid to address the shortfall, the school management has decided to convert the 40-seater toilet facility into a 1-story accommodation for teachers. The project is about 80% complete and management is seeking support to complete it.
That's why we are very seriously looking for ways of getting accommodation on the compound to improve on supervision. And when some of them are around, even during prep, some might be willing to teach them for free to help them improve in the areas of weakness like core mathematics.
But wouldn't that affect the comfort of students?
We already have 56 cubicles at the school site, apart from the rest we have in the dormitories, and 56 cubicles as washrooms. It's enough during the day for the students. So we don't think the conversion will affect students using the washrooms.
Additionally, a Form 4 classroom block which has not been in use due to the 3-year SHS policy is also being converted into an accommodation for teachers. This, the headmistress Grace Mansa Eshan believes will help extend the teacher-student contact hours in order to improve academic work.
And teachers and pupils of the Futu-MA Basic School in Cape Coast are appealing for urgent intervention from government to avert a looming disaster in the school. The school building is in a deplorable state with parts of the structure on the verge of collapse.
The Futu-MA Basic School, established in 1954, is located in Efutu, a community along the Cape Coast Jukwa stretch. The school, which aims at developing the talents of pupils to meet the developmental needs of society and the nation as a whole, has several awards to its credit in spite of its challenges. These include being adjudged the overall national best in the 2017 Basic Education Certificate Examination and the national best HIV/AIDS alert in 2015. An uncompleted building which was to be used as a workshop has been converted into classrooms due to the growing number of the pupil population. The school authorities are uncertain of what the future holds for these children, as they fear the structure could collapse at any moment. The headmistress, who is also the 2007 best teacher for the Central Region, talks about the challenges they are grappling with. She says some engineers came to survey the school after a report was made to the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly, and that was the end.
The engineer came around that very day we reported the issue and surveyed the place. When we reported, they had already done the 2017 budget. The Metro Chief Executive told us, by all means, because of the nature of the problem, he would want to solve it, and so he would see the team and see how best it can be solved.
Madam Evelyn Efo-Apenyin is therefore calling for an immediate intervention to avert any disaster in the near future.
And farmers in Dwaboso in the Western North Cocoa District are complaining about the high cost involved in agriculture production in the area. High interest rates on loans, poor road infrastructure, and high cost of agricultural inputs are among challenges they cited as affecting their cocoa production. Here's a report by correspondent Benjamin Ado.
Cocoa farming is the backbone of Ghana's economy, but many cocoa farming families live in poverty. The cost associated with hiring labor as well as purchasing fertilizers, farming equipment and pesticides places huge financial burden on farmers and further diminishes the income gained from cocoa production. Farming is the source of income for about 80% of residents in the Dwaboso district, but poverty is rife in the area because of farmers' inability to access farm input and other services. The high cost in land preparation for cultivation discourages most women from staying in the cocoa farming business. The situation has compelled the women in the district to form a cooperative union which will enable them support themselves with loans to improve on their livelihood.
The cooperative union will enable us get easy access to other farming inputs from government.
Chairperson of the women group called on the government to introduce interventions to encourage women to go into cocoa farming. A director at Cocoa Board, Dr. Emmanuel Ahia-Clote, touched on Cocoa Board's productivity enhancement program, which seeks to improve cocoa production.
Last year we engaged roughly 10,000 pollinators, but this year, 2018, we are engaging 20,000. So we are going to increase the size of the hectarage we are pollinating. In addition to that, government has in plan pruning the farms, because when you prune your farm and then you fertilize, that's where you have more flowers for the pollination program.
The Sehwioso District Cocoa Officer, Nana Otutu Abebio V, appealed to the women to improve on their savings culture to reinvest in their farming activities.
And that's how we'll wrap up with News at 10. Thank you very much for staying with us. On behalf of the crew here, good night.